the month of February, the month of love. Yamobia kwaba esanso ewo shimo well ewo busumi a yewremu nse bibia ebekoye ede amamo aha eye Akwantufoɔ radio. Ebredu sen sama ekoso mema say diabo no ayato ne din trending news no. Ena nwumra abusuafo esinkonwa ne ede bi esomo. Ena nsema ede ba no dos ye papa na de tima kotene no ebi ene se Enrada na nadodan kwa Kufuado ekasai na nenkasai mu no sempi ena ode etu dwa a wo kire se teachers sanso ena womo da enwomesua no womo enhwe se protocols awodo no yebedi so ewo school mu.
We witnessed only few reports of cases among students. I appeal to school authorities and teachers to enforce the guidelines provided by the Ghana Education Service. And I urge the Ghana Health Service to continue their surveillance at the schools so we can put in any report cases.
On COVID-19, and a General Secretary Edema Ghana Medical Association Yura, Dr. Justice Youngson, one also the Atuja said, Nanado Danko Kufuado Wakasa, na Nenkasa Imno, Shesen, Sama or de Egu, a form an announcement away in Yinano, and Penny Fobeshe, and my protocols outdoor. Yet me I for Sonomo Ediswo.
We have always, at least in the last couple of weeks, been advocating for a complete ban on all social gatherings. Lockdowns in themselves do not really solve all the problems unless you are ready to do other activities like enhanced contact tracing, trying to go in there and mop up all the possible cases. You know, it's like you go in, you fish out for all the bits that are out there in terms of the people who have the capacity to spread the disease, take them from the community, isolate them.
And then the Supreme Court also at na election 2020 petition no eso na jumedi no ebewi no na first witness at the Emma petitioner John Dramani Mahama Johnson Esedun Ketia one and General Secretary Edema NDC Amayuki no was it were satisfied when summer Johnson Esedun Ketia no.
The second respondent Epese Obeye in his cross-examination of our witness General Mosquito ne said Obe Maria Sina na court na hu say and someone yeto abaniwe ono ne NDC mpanyimfo bi e ka ne ho e de tu dwa e fa abato ne sunsanso no
and so and second respondent Nanado Danko Kufuado one lawyer Pakon Kojo Pon Kroma ono na sa ton kradema aban ni dwumadie ono so se ensema course no as I said ye expose kese na se wasem enye da obi te se General Mosquito one so yetimi pan hontoma ema nanim aguase
deliberate attempt to steal this election for the MPP. And now in their witness statements, they stopped to beat those ones out. And then when it was put to our very good friend, the general, he now said he was not responsible for the pen drive, etc. So that exposure of the lack of conduct is also one of the things that our council sought to do. In conclusion, our view is that if your case is bad, even the most skillful general will be exposed at cross-examination. And that's what we believe has happened today.
In some way, any afufropia COVID-19 some and so a canwa soon bede, and I abon bede a war fide so and then you ray most some for it don't call. Yes, in Konya videos so I did have some Papa Smiley Sanson a prince, and I mean I can David and a couple my name you rage media or my summer son more a push me motimenka or modernghana.com Zeno Radio Sanso and a tune in www.akwantuforadio.com Facebook Akwantufour Radio sa and so and YouTube Akwantufour TV Akwantufour Radio UK Akwantufour Radio Ghana onyina nsemi yabon beda masom fwedwe donko enede yi matenase amede eba besomo ewo afidie yi eso afei ene enyumre ensem no emu enchiremu enie ene day ede tosum yeno ede Emma Johnson esiedu nketia General Secretary dima NDC amayokio no na ne nyina ene sen 2020 abaye koto yeyi ho declaration ne mu ensensem no etimi ekopie mu ewo court achese nenye asem ketwa kra na ene day asem no court nso satena so bi ma first witness ede Emma John Dramani Mahama the petitioner no wono so etimi ekopie mu ewo court a ode ensema na no yie ne na dance die ekokoda court a enye asem ketwa kra na ene day kopie mu court no sempi ena omutimi biebie so a womo ede ekire ye di kind of video a second respondent ede on lawyers ye Nana Danko Ekufuado lawyers no womo pese womo bo video no na chachuchi kata say sa video ne bono obetimi ameki objection na so judges no ampene so ema video no etimi so na wabra eba say video no bono ebeko so no yewura chachuchi kata enetimi make objection na so judges na sem penifo enti said isikoye
documents being produced in evidence through the witness. The proper thing is for them to produce it in evidence if that is what they are seeking to do. That's why it's an exhibit attached to their witness statement. As an attachment to their witness statement, it is entirely open for them to put it in evidence. It is in fact the process that they have initiated, but they cannot tender that video through our witness. They cannot do that. Lords. They cannot do that, and we respectfully object to that evidence. By virtue of Section 6 of the Evidence Act.
Yei ensem no bi etimi kopie mo ewo court na eno na ebeto odwa se claims anase ensem no bi a petitioners omo can say vote pardon etimi eba so na eno na de na gun krata so na afin so omo adanse ana ewo pen drive so na say ni nyina entally ana say enko benkromu na eno so ehon ensem ene ehon simbisa ni no ehon ano yie so etimi call so ewo Supreme Court ene day
now 26 is that you realize now that those other constituencies, the figures were in your favor. The so-called vote pardon was in your favor. So when you're filing your witness statement, you took them out. I disagree with my lord. Now, let us still stick to your exhibit. You see that your exhibit F has a pen drive copy. Not so. Let's see it on my file. Yes, my lord. That's it. Now, you will see. That in that pen drive copy, which we ask the court to play, you see that there are columns where you indicate part for NDC. That is not shown on the hard paper, but on the pen drive, that gives a fuller picture. There are are columns where you indicate that pardon for NDC. There are other columns you indicate that pardon for NDC and the hard copy. The hard copy and the pen drive. The hard copy of exhibit F, yes, and the pen drive, yes. My Lord, I have not discovered any such discrepancy. But Mr. Nketia, have you looked at the pen drive? Yes, you. I looked at the hard copy. No. Have you looked at the pen drive? Don't answer questions that you are not asked. No, I haven't looked at the pen drive. You haven't looked at the pen drive? No. Good. Now, my lords, if it is possible for us, yes, to play it, to show it.
Eno nsɛm no bia etimi kopie mo ɛwɔ ɛkɔɔto a na kyerɛ sɛ ɛnya asɛm ketewa koraa mranim ni yewura akoto ampaw sansana justice ɔpɔn wɔn kambo ma na kyerɛ sɛ ɛnya no nsɛmisa no ɛho ɛnya no Efric Johnson esiedu nketia ɛhɔ ɛba no bi ɛna mote yɛ nne no ɛna ɔhwɛ NDC wɔn calculations a wɔn ɛyɛ na afei nso calculator Johnson esiedu nketia de kopie mu ɛwɔ court no keka no mabɔ mu no na kyerɛ sɛ yewura akoto apaw lawyer akoto apaw enso ebisai na wɔde tudwa sɛ okeka no nyina eboma sɛneɛ petitioner no ɛka sɛ aba etu ye obi ani wa onya 50+1 no na kyerɛ enye nokre mbokeka boma na second respondent na nado danko ekufuado nya 50+1 ɛna afei nso fa electoral commission wɔn so ɛdia na nado danko ekufuado enya 50+1 ɛho nso nsɛm no sɛ ne sikoyɛ
a moment ago. That the second respondent obtained in Techman South, his total votes as of 9th December, the second respondent will still have crossed the 50% threshold. My Lord, I wouldn't know, because the figures that we are contesting here, you have the same agents signing onto tallies allocated to presidential candidates and then signing onto totals. My Lord, with respect, we are calling this clerical error. I don't know whether the error was in the totals or the error was in the tallies allocated to the various candidates. Now you see, we do a tally based on the primary figures. Is that not so? You don't do a total first and then from the end, and then you come and treating the specific figures. Your totals are based on the primary figures. Is that correct? That's correct. Now, so if the primary figures are wrong, the totals will be wrong. Hold on. So the totals here are the ones we are dealing with, and they come up to 99,436. As you have the totals later. Yeah. I know the totals on the various tallies when you put together is 99,436. Yes. But I cannot test to the validity of the various figures. That's the problem. And then the totals, because both the totals and the tallies have been signed onto by the first respondent's representative and the representatives of political parties. But I'm saying that from these totals, second respondent crossed the 50+ threshold. Well, from the totals we see here, yes. And the petitioner was below that threshold. The petitioner obtained 47.39 6. That's it.
Yay, and some no be a check who it was Supreme Court. And I say, Omo, a free moon, a chamber honor, and court honor, press conferences, a coso, the free petitioner was answering a second respondent. Omutimi so anya sam keto akra na no na Sami Jemfi o communication director na afen so nimra no okogina mu ebia ono so eyi nsem ana sede sikoye enedai e wo court ho no otimi bo no tofa de chere nsem trefo.
The second respondent epese obeye in his cross examination of our witness General Mosquito ne say obe Maria si nyina na court na hu say and someone yet wa bani wie ono ne NDC mpanyifo bi e ka ne ho e de tu dwa e fa abato ne sunsan so no enye no no de aba court na wasesa na no enti in conclusion no onya no kwafo na mo amohwe video boy no na mutie anu yi a general e de man no a di a chese general ankasa de wan ka no in any press conference say ya ye coalition on the basis of your coalition or John Mama Rene. Next time what kind in your results I just and this Rene parliamentary seats about 141, which he still stands by. And on the basis of that, anyhow in the past the trend has been or John Dramani Mahama will have the comfort he needs in parliament to govern. Now also Chim said simple NDC mpanyifo a ahodo a ye boy no mu asem te se Sami Jemfi utuko no
na eno ena maame Marita Briopon ono so kan lawyers a omochirem de ma John Dramani Mahama no o chirem se esieru nkete ne da court no obo no homodin ye papa
didn't happen as they thought it would. In the end, his credibility rather soared. If you watch the video, and I'm sure you all watched it, it is clear from the video that he never said at any point in time that the petitioner had won the elections. In fact, what he did were projections, and rightly so. He stated that based on the 141 parliamentary seats that we had won, the projection was that we would win the presidential slot as well. Those were projections he made. And so they were unable to show from the video that the general said what it is they were trying to prove. So we had the 9th December figures of 13,434,574, 10th December 13,190, 13 made. And we saw that from day 7. But when they did the tally of the collation, it was 99,000 nominations that they conducted. That we do not know what the figures, the issue of padding. They cross-examined the general on the issue of padding, and you can sense from in favor of the NDC. Now, if they admit that there was padding, then obviously we are dealing with a very flawed election. That is the point, and they admit it. It's a clear admission of a flawed election. And he also made the point that what we are absolute number and get any results, because that sample is simply what it is, a sample. In the end, there were also questions from the bench about our own figures. But I think we need to make it clear, and it's been made clear over and over again. We are here challenging the EC on its own figures. Its own figures. What are those figures?
Yay, Marita Brio upon appear one and one so council members no and who be and yetin can hono eduzi edigi tamaklo on also ede atudwa say nyame aduma 1 second witness yura Dr. Pesa White on also a crado na wo gidi say nyame aduma china wa prepare pa and obabijinem e wo court.
Beyond the, all over the place, But at the core of it is that Dr. Michael Pesawat is quite ready. He's been, hovering around, thinking that they will finish early so he can mount the witness Yes, sir.
He's a witness of facts. He was in the struggle, and he will come and tell the good people of this country the manner in which Jane Mensah treated the petitioner.
Oguswa utie trending news na yeko second respondent eho na nipa we press conference no wabro mo free court ho no yewura kojo opon kroma on netonkra ede ema aban na yentie ensema ono so ekan ochirim se enesem court a ensema course wo court no wo gidie pa se de ewiase nyina ne Ghana nyina omo ahu na omo expose Johnson Esedun Ketia na ohwe se wasam enye dan fa ho se Esedun Ketia were very skillful still now be pan ho toma ama afin so wa punch holes a ededa no ho ede akire amansan no so ogidi se case no de enkoye kra.
Spent a lot of time exposing the inconsistencies and sometimes even outright falsehoods that have been put out by the petitioner and the witness who was in the witness box today. So when you just couple the earlier claims of we won now to what they are saying in the witness box about they don't know who won, when you just oppose that to some of the tapes we played about claims of 51% on their side, now to claim that they did not even bring numbers to court. If you just oppose that between their petition that talks about vote padding of a certain number and now a claim that it's only samples of that number, also exposed through very vigorous cross-examination is a claim that was being made that nobody actually won this election. And that's why you saw the Venerable Akoto Ampao over and over again now raise the numbers and ask the witness to do there was an attempt to ensure that he was not questioned on it. Even at re-examination, attempt to adduce fresh evidence by apprising to the millions of NDC supporters across the country who were egged on by the same team that they had numbers to prove they had won. Now here in court, when the bench asked those questions, they say that they did not come to court with any of those numbers. That there was a deliberate attempt to steal this election for the MPP. And now in their witness statements, they stopped to bleach those ones out. And then when it was put to our very good friend, the general, he now said he was not responsible for the pen drive, etc. So that exposure of the lack of conduct is also one of the things that our council sought to do. In conclusion, our view is that if your case is bad, even the most skillful general will be exposed at cross-examination. And that's what we believe has happened today.
Now, sans of the two just say one council and as one layers, no, Ubien or Jitum say election I call no 2020 December no na errors ewo home p. Nothing so sad to just say council bien or Jitum say na vote pardon be ewo eho.
Is that there is an error simpliciter in the verbal articulation of the results as mouthed on the line. I'm not sure that that's where their case ends. Their case is to the effect that there is a mistake or there's an error, which error amounts, if you add the first statement to it, to vote padding, and that if you do the hypothetical calculation of Ketima and South, we have to go for a runoff. Let nobody kid himself. When Poch was put to show, and now their star witness, Mrs. Johnson Esedun Ketia, was put under oath, you began to see their case crumbling. First of all, as I mentioned earlier, our objective was to showcase to the learned or to the respected justices of the Supreme Court the fact that the witness in the box and the petitioner do not have credibility. And the Council of Akoto Ampao displayed that excellently by playing back to them their own claims in which, contrary to what they've been saying under oath, now in videos we are seeing them claiming that they had won this election, some giving figures of over 50%, that they had won about 10 regions, etc. Now as we go into the number specific and give Mr. Esedun Ketia the calculator to begin to calculate, however he calculates it, Nanato still gets 51% and over. Now even these so-called errors in their pleading, Mr. Esedun Ketia deletes it from his witness statement because he notices that allegation of padding as a grant designed to help the second respondent cross the mark cannot be sustained, and actually is undermined by the fact that according to their own allegation, which allegation we are not saying is true, there were places in which, according to their own allegation, they also padded votes. But when he submitted his witness statement, they deleted it. Unfortunately, they forgot that the soft copy was still on the pen drive. That's why Mr. Kotompa drew the attention and drew the court's attention to the fact that the thing they try to hide from you, the untruth, the falsehood that they are trying to peddle, they are exposed by the pen drive and the soft copy. And when they attempted to deny it, when Mr. Didiketia attempted to suggest that he didn't know anything about the pen drive or the soft copy, you saw counsel for the EC also on his feet attest to the fact that he was also seeing the same thing there, and they couldn't deny. Now in the end, that's how come you heard Justice Atong asking him who put the soft copy on the pen drive, because you are
Kojo upon Chrome and day one on a press conference no Jinemo Ede Emma second respondent. Nanado Danko Ekufuado and Nanado Danko Ekufuado so Ede update number 23 to Eja Nanum and SMP and Oko Okaye na ano and Oshase a free numbers and city see Echo Honma numbers and a costly papa. They say Ghana has say active case in 5,358 enye asamketwakra na Ushenipa ase wodia enye bucho nano eno de ato adjustment say the restriction no or sabishem kena or the two just funeral sanso and a wedding any shemu ahodo de say yes at band atoso
helped in reducing the prevalence of the pandemic in the country. The government has been left with no option but to reintroduce some of these restrictions in order to help save the situation. I know these measures in the recent past were unpleasant, but over a period they resulted in a favorable situation for the country. We have to return to them. So, fellow Ghanaians, until further notice, funerals, weddings, concerts, theatrical performances and parties are banned. Private burials with no more than 25 people can take place with enforcement of the social distancing, hygiene, and mask-wearing protocols. Beaches, nightclubs, cinemas, and pubs continue to be shut. Our borders by land and sea remain closed. All workplaces, public and private, must employ a shift system for workers, in addition to the use of virtual platforms for business or work.
Yea, rather than some of the two general restrictions, no be a new woman, and yet say, Nene, say, or cano. Nano, and or sanso, edit two justices say the situation, idea, I am west crash, say, say, ye, Niswa, and ye, the Bayan say lockdown, yes, I the beba.
Government had put in place. The hope is that we'll begin to see, as of Friday, 29th January, 64 more people have sadly died over the last 2 weeks, bringing the total number of confirmed deaths to 416. Our hospitalization rates are increasing, with the number of critical 172. Our hospitals have become full, and we've had to reactivate our isolation centers. Our average daily rates of infection now stand at 700, compared to 200 2 weeks ago. The total number of active cases has more than doubled, from a little over 1,900 2 weeks ago to 5,358 currently. And I delivered update number 22.
Nana society to just say vaccine guswa womo ehwe say ebi by March day na first batch no eduru Ghana.
Test positive will bear the cost of the Ghanaians. In update number 21, I indicated that Ghana is set to procure her first consignment of the COVID-19 vaccines within the first half of this year. Since then, a lot of work has been done towards the realization of this. Our aim is to vaccinate the entire population with an initial target of 20 million people. Through bilateral and multilateral means, we're hopeful that by the end of June, a total of 17,600,000 vaccine doses would have been procured for the Ghanaian people. The earliest vaccine will be in the country by March. The Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, will use its established processes for granting emergency use authorization for each vaccine in Ghana. As President of the Republic, I assure you that only vaccines that have been evaluated and declared as safe for use in Ghana will be administered. Government will continue to monitor our COVID-19 situation and will remain resolved in ensuring that we are able to return to normal daily routines. I remain hopeful.
Nana adodan kwa kufuado ye Ghana mampeni ninka ena yete yeno na Dr. Youngson, Dr. Justice Youngson, one na ye General Secretary di ma Ghana Medical Association ono so de atojo ase kasa no eye de na enso ohwese kasa anase announcement His Excellency Nana adodan kwa kufuado de egu akwemu no ohwese anamo no yebetu na yare no ya penopomesi bre.
We have always, at least in the last couple of weeks, been advocating for a complete ban on all social gatherings. Lockdowns in themselves do not really solve all the problems unless you are ready to do other activities like enhanced contact tracing, trying to go in there and mop up all the possible cases, It's like you go in, you fish out for all the bits that are out there in terms of the people who have the capacity to spread the disease, take them from the community, isolate them, treat them, stuff like that, with the aim of helping break the chain of transmission. But what is clear to all of us at this point is that there is enough evidence on the ground to show, in Ghana, to show that these social gatherings were one of the key drivers of the upsurge in the numbers. And it is basic, it is fundamental. You need to clamp on these activities. The president, in his own wisdom, decided to ban some of them, and we felt that there could still have been some tighter restrictions on others like churches, the transport, the markets. But at least we have started a certain journey. And I think we'll rather take inspiration from what the president said, that he is ready to make the big calls if we all don't comply. So, and I think that the calls can be made at any time. As we speak, for us now, even with what he has put out now, the key thing now is the enforcement component. If you don't enforce, but you just make pronouncement that these things are banned, effectively you haven't done anything. So we need to ensure that there is strict adherence to the protocol. And then, as he told us in his previous broadcast to all of us, we had instructed the IGP to ensure that the enforcement bit is also done alongside all the bits that he has mentioned. And I think the onus is now on the IGP and his team to ensure that there is real enforcement.
Yeah, say IGP ene ebusuakfo aka posifo omobehwe ama nsise ana sensema na nadadan kwa ekufo adedugu akwemu no yebedi so
should be out there. There should be no favor. Each and every one of us should be subjected to the laws, whether you are a politician, whether you are an ordinary citizen like you and I. So for us, yes, the call was for the social gatherings to be banned. We didn't get 100%, but at least a handful of restrictions have happened. And like I said, the onus is now on us to ensure that the enforcement bit also goes along, right, so that there will be absolute compliance.
Yei Dr. Justice Youngson, General Secretary the Ghana Medical Association. Nenka ena yete ye no owie no de tuju ase ohwe trotro na number ya nteso omofafo capacity sanso ena market nso a president akahwe amfa ho no ena ochirim se ohwe Ghana ban enso consider yen sikasem ene ye nyuma ensem ohwe first restriction e ba ya na lockdown e ba ya na che normal high ye papa nti aban no ehwe normal mienu entina ebia womo afo money antre market sanso ena kai mu no
that this is how far he's going to go. I think we are also trying to look at potential economic impact and all that. Mind you, the country with the first wave, basically, we were almost on our knees when it comes to all the economic activities. Now, this wave seems from where we are heading towards now, if we don't put the brakes on the trajectory, it's going to be worse than we first experienced. And what that will mean is that probably it will hit all economic activity as well. I don't speak for the president, but I can hazard a guess that if you look at the market where a lot of restrictions were not put in clearly, I think maybe a time for correction, though, they may be trying to balance some of the economic and health implications alongside.
Right.
But be that as it may, it may be that we go on to what we did previously, where Trotros had to reduce the numbers and all that. We will not shy away from making the calls, because even after today's announcement, yesterday's announcement, we as an association, we are going to follow up with all the details properly to be sure that, yes, indeed, these measures that we put in will have the ability or the capacity to reduce the trajectory on which we are traveling now. I mean, the curve is so steep that the consequences are going to be there. So if this, let's say, first round of restrictions will not be able to do so much for us based on the data that will be coming through, then clearly we'll need to step up and then go to the next level of restrictions as well.
Right.
And some General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Justice Youngson, also editor in enim na Duncan Williams, Suffolk Penny and Akaseba Kwa woman has say, and no JJ Rollins aseno Ghana for you who said Maxano, no shemino. Protocols are out on it, you would this so papa. No, and I know that na sorry more the two just say it may be a Yakopon ho in him saying me ho Nenso a common sense yemfa enye na protocols are out on ye ni so na no nebeboa amayari ye to us here.
Are the presidents, some people come and say, are you seeing too much? Are you seeing something we are not seeing? And I said, no. I ain't seen nothing. Any atmosphere that is not prayer and Holy Ghost saturated, I will use my double mass. And that has nothing to do with faith. That just has to do with common sense. Somebody say common sense. But the Bible said now God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ever ask or imagine. That word imagine means think. Common sense, use your head.
Think, common sense, use your head. And Duncan Williams, and also the entire Max no abundant as well. JJ Rollins, and what they told us, sorry, ma, anymore. Na Ghana phobia so actual margin afa Max and Eshon say, and one some at saying, yes, see, Monteso and Ghana phobia edding come say, no, so HM.
Yede emeyeme so man is so munhye na yale no se na esi ba no ehu
o no de ma jet no se dan da mehye if se no ne ade betumi abom ho ban se na ya mi nkonya yale ni bi aremum de afuta me de mo mun se o so bi abom ho mod na oye na hia sem se obehye ade no do se yale no unya bia odi be ku fi odi be se nanfo de odi npa ba ko odi be se nkofo pi nti obi am ho bon se ne
and de bia mehye manage ho se mehye because ne se no sha ya de ba for so say ebehye
Pacho me sha ebebo me ne omo beta de o me ho ni nyina ho ban ebisa me sha me wo yare n bia me kasa gu obi so a nipa no enya bi so obi a ono so entumi mfa ma me e be stress yare ne de wo ho pa mo ma nyina ye se nose mask ne mo ye ho ban
Ghana phobia and ye see Montene so no ye no mo edi enkomo e no mo so echire mu dientia Wamo eshe Max no ebi ena ye twegu ede amamono na teacher phobia ye postu wamo free 2012 ebepem 2015 wonsika ekoka mu mana na dodanko ekufara na ban ehye won bose womo ebetua amano na so besine ebi nsa akomo de ebi nso ensa enka womo ede entine sakui eka womo ho ebomu efrensem twefo de womo hawo eto one enim na eno mato one din Association of Aggrieved Teachers nyina ene sen aban de wonka be se sika be mfie nan ebi de mfie mienu ne de kekeka ho abosome nsia ne abosome enson na no eno de atojo asom se na do dan ko ekufo ado adwobreo won sika no mo ehia.
I think that 2 weeks ago he told that.
Okay. Yeba ensem no so say ena Abraham Champon or organizer or din sem no eton central for him.
To me, a legacy arrest. I shall say from 2012 equals 2016. Last year, and it is a Oman in a BDJ, Omolancho manifesto, I will keep Kusun, Oma Kase, Oma Clay, all legacy arrest. In the end, affected teachers, and the Yati, Yahoo Julian, the year release, I shall say about a demonstration, and I am paying for Frey and Director General himself, Frey, my own office, almost say a boss, Omu used 3 months, and a dear KSK. The way one said 3 months in a wire 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015. Says the kind of motion says Omuchi and sent my and cabinet Omuchi 2016, 2017, 2018, including 2019, and Omuja legacy arrest 2012 to 2015. Omuja Imo.
Yei achachefobia omusika kokemu ewo legacy arrest no emuno ena dio obia oboabo adom ano ema ekuyo no yewura Abraham Champon ono so edin chiremu ede ema yen yenyina so ne fenne enyumre trending news ne nyina ensioti enka ewo modernghana.com Zeno Radio sanso na tune in social media platforms ne nyina ensemi etwa efa ehomidin ede edwedon ko papa smiley sa enso ena menu ya Ken David ena boboabo ansemi ya no ema mote yenka ewo afidie so nyame adom china de akamu bia Supreme Court on some COVID-19 some and in Sambia ebipim nyame adom china no ede beba betumonim ewo afidie so medin ede edwe donko makramo ema mujina good night.
That's right. And Christopher for more all of us who more chromo yes you wo chrom the here see a best so nyame mu ye of best sorry so nyame mu waso ni mu abetato sorry so nyame mu farinyi na sheni mu sorry so nyame mu waso ni mu abetato sorry so nyame mu farinyi na sheni mu sorry so nyame mu waso ni mu abetato sorry so nyame mu farinyi na sheni mu sorry so nyame mu waso ni mu abetato sorry so nyame mu farinyi na sheni mu sorry
Yami now they won't die. On to know you grandma on Sunday, well, another in summer. Only the way now one movia. Or a mess now a injury. He's there in all century. Says to the move the way we know it's feed to Abra Bass in the Camry. Obama Wabra buy a gum. Internet in full Morgan. Me too for the one some now see a memo that can don't come. By push up for swearing them. Dan Holland, I do not shut down but them. American who are born anymore. Young, you want the name upon the name.
Sorry, so nyami.